Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to use the components we've been building so far to build up the home page. So if we go back to our Trello board, we have been able to complete the components development. So I'll drag this to the done section and I'll bring in the home page to the doing section. And if we go back to our Figma design, here is what the home page looks like. So it's a combination of the header, the tab menu, then the special card, the block card, and the block card v2. So here is what we have on the UI. So the major focus is to align things the way they should. So let's get started with this. So coming back into our code, we can clean up our editor by closing all the open tabs. So we close all. So back into our app, here is the home page. And here is what it currently looks like. So what we want to do is we want to remove all this. We want to go back to a clean slate. So within the home page, we are going to have the header first, and we can just bring in the header components. And now we have the header components. Next, we can bring in the tab menu, and we can just have tag menu rather instead of tab. And for this, let's see what it looks like. And as you can see, without doing anything much, we already have this UI looking like this. So what's left now is to structure the main contents to look like this. So as we can see from the design, it's divided into 3 vertical sections. And the first section is going to house the special card. The second one is going to have the block card list. Then the final one is going to have the block card v2. So back to our code, we are going to have a div and call this block layout. And within our block layout, we want to have 3 sections of block. So based on this, we are going to create 3 extra components. One will be for the special block, where we are going to load the special block content. Then the other will be the block list. Then the last one will be the top blocks. So let's create the components. And we are going to make this component specific to the home page. So we can just have a new folder, home page. Then within this folder, I want to create the 3 components. So we're going to have the special components. So yes, let's start with the special component first. Alright, so here is the structure of the special block, and I'll just duplicate this for the other ones as well. Alright, so here are the 3 components. We have the block list, which is going to have the main block list in terms of the latest blocks. Then we have the special block, then finally the top block. And with those set up, we can come back to the home page and include them. So we want to include them within a section, and what that means is we want to control the layout from the home page side. So we don't want to influence the layout from any of the components. So based on this, I'm going to have all the components within a section. So here we're going to have the special block like that. Then we're going to have another section for the block list. Then finally, we are going to have another section for the top block. Alright, so here is the structure. So technically, the home page will not be doing any fetching. All the fetching will be done individually within the components. So all we need to do now is just set up the layout and see if it meets up with what we want. So let's take a look at what we have so far. So here is the list of all the contents. So what we want to do is we want to set up the UI to have it side by side like we have in the design. So back into our code, it will target the block layout. Come back to the style. So again, I want to play around with this, and it should be quite straightforward, but just not to waste our time while I do this, I'll play around with it, and when I'm done, I'm going to show us what I figured out. Alright, so here is what we have after my UI design, and let me show you what the style looks like, and it's quite straightforward. So from the top, I have a margin top of 30 pixels, so that's going to display things from the top. Then the display is grid. Then we have grid template columns, this. Then finally we have the grid column gap to be 30 pixels. And that's what we have. With the layout specified now, we can go on to having the content within it. So let's start with the special block. So for now, we are only going to block the UI. We are not integrating anything, so it should be quite straightforward. So for the special block, I'm going to define a special block content, just a hard-coded one. Alright, so here is the structure of the special block I've coined together, and this is just what we have on our UI. So I just copied the stuff we have here, and I'm going to be reusing that here. Also, I'll go ahead to upload this image so that we can also use it within our cover here. So currently it's empty. We're going to get that up and running soon. So finally, I want to make some adjustment, and I thought I should share with us before going ahead to do that. So if we go back to our UI, we are going to find out that it has some header information. So as we can see, this is movies, this is latest, this is most read. And the latest news and most read can be specific in the sense that they're always going to be that. But in the case of the special card, this is going to fluctuate based on what special card we are showing. And we are going to decide that based on what the tag is. So in this case, the tag is movie, and we're going to use the movie to determine the header. And to fix that, we are just going to have the header as an h3. Then we are going to specify the special block content here. Dot tag dot name. And this is going to give us the header. And once we are done with that, we can present the other parts of the special block. So in here, we are going to have, and we're going to spread out the information of the special block. And with this, we should be good with the special block. So let's check it out. Alright, so this is what it looks like aside from the image, which is currently not there. So let's upload the image and see how it looks. Alright, so I've uploaded the image and here is the URL. So I can go back to my code and paste the URL here. So coming back to the browser and check what we've been building, and we are going to find this, which looks like what we want. With this, we are kind of done with the movie section. So even though this is meant to be movies, it's called movie, but that's really not an issue at this point. So next, we want to focus on the log list, which should be quite easy. So again, we are going to come back to our code, go to the blog list, and for the blog list, we are going to have multiple blogs. So what I'll do is, I'm just going to copy one we have from special blog, and we're going to update the information accordingly. So I'll copy this, come back to the blog lists, paste this here, and here I want to change this to iBlog because this is going to be iBlog. And also I want to update the information with what we have on our UI. So I'll come back to the UI and make the updates. So I'll do this just to speed up things. So for this, it doesn't require the cover, and I've removed it. So this is all we need for the blog list. And for the blog list, is going to be multiple, and also it requires an header. So I'm going to come down here and paste h3 for the header, and this is going to be latest news. And also we are going to have a multiple of this, so probably maybe 5. So in here I can have 5, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of it, dot map. So this is going to be within a brace, and we're going to have it dot map. And with JavaScript, you can create the array, but this is just very easy, as you can see. So in here, we're going to have I, which we don't need, and we're going to have the index. Then we're going to connect this to the block card. So we're going to have block card. So block card is going to have the spread of the block content. So this is no longer special block content, but just block contents. So we're going to spread out the block contents. Then also we need a key, and the key is going to be our I, which is the index. So if we save this and come back to the UI, we should see an update. So we have the update even though it's not structured the way we want it. So we're going to get to that soon. So that's going to be part of our cleanup. So let's proceed to the top blocks. So again, we are going to copy the content we have here for the top block. And yeah, I'm going to paste it here. So we need to import this. For the top block, we need the cover. But we don't need the caption. So we can remove the caption for the top block. It's optional for our block. Then we'll come back to Cloudinary to copy the link for this. So in here, I'm going to paste the cover. Also, it seems we are just putting the content without really using it. We can decide to also make the content optional, but I would ignore that. That's really not a big deal in this case. And the tag also is going to remain text. That's really not something big. And again, we're going to come back to the blog list, copy what we have here because it's going to be very similar, and paste here. But this is going to be top news or top blog. Also, we need to import the blog card. It's still the same thing. But with the information update, it's going to show what we need to see. So let's close this and see what it shows. And there we have it. So it's looking close to what we have already, aside from the spacing, which I think is too small. And we can adjust that easily by coming back to our style and change the grid gap to 50 pixels. So let's take a look. Okay, I think that's okay. So if we come back to the UI design, we'll find out that the block cards are demarcated with this, and they are spacing between them. The same thing for the most read as well. So we want to achieve the same thing, but because they are having different designs, that means the control is going to come from each section. So yeah, let's come back to our code and flesh that out. So if we come back to the block card, or rather not block card, the block list. So here we can add a special class, but because the block card itself is not getting a special class, we have to include it into it. So if we come back to the block card, that means we want to have an optional class name here. So optional, and it's a string. And in here, we can also extend the block card to the class name. Or rather, we can extend the class name to the existing one. So this one becomes block card. And if the class name exists, we're going to have it here. So in a case where we did not specify the class name, then it's going to show undefined here, which we don't want. So we're going to check if it exists. So if it exists, then we have the blog.class name. Else we're just going to return an empty string. So that's better. So with that done, we can come here and specify the class name related to the blog list itself. So in here, we can add class name. And we're going to call it blog card list. Okay, so that's what we're going to have for the blog list. And we're going to come to the top blog. So I think top blog makes more sense compared to most read. Here we can add it like that. And here we're going to have this as top-blog-card. Again, we format it. So with those done, we can locate the block card, because if you see here, we are actually extending the block card. So we can locate the block card class. So here is the block card. And what we want to do is we want to extend it. So we can use and dot. So we are considering two classes. So the first one is the block card list. And we can come here and have the design based on what we want. So if we come back to the UI, we'll find out that we want to have some spacing from the block card itself, then some spacing after the block card. So the first spacing can be achieved by a padding button, 20 pixels. Then the next spacing can be achieved by a margin button, 20 pixels. Then let's design the demarcation itself. So we can do that by having border button, 1 pixel solid, Then we want to just darken white. So darken white by 10%. And this should achieve the first section. As you can see, we have that section. However, this is going to go through to the last. So what we want to do for the last item is to just hide it at the last section. So here we can say, and last child. So what we want to hide here is not the padding or the margin, just the border. So we still want to have that space for the last child. So the border bottom in this case is going to be none. And if we come back here, we'll see that it doesn't exist. However, we have that spacing. So the last thing we have to do is to have the spacing for the top block. And again, it's going to be quite straightforward. Just come back to the top block, get the class, then we can come back to the style and extend this class here. So dot top block card. And here we just want to have a margin button. And that will be all. And here we have it. We have some space, but it doesn't look like it has a good hierarchy. So it looks like the top section for each block is just hanging around. So let's fix that. And we can fix that by having this be larger. So it's going to create an hierarchy kind of thing. And let's check again. So as you can see, we can now easily tell which block is which. And there we have it. I think everything is looking great so far. So we can easily read through the blocks and continue reading if we want to. So finally, we can drag our homepage design to the done section and drag in the single block view to the doing section. And this is what we are going to visit in the next episode. So guys, if you enjoyed the episode, kindly leave a thumbs up. And if you want to share some information with us, you can do so in the comment section. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you've not. And that'll be all for today. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.